Hi everyone, it's Jen from Mind's Eye, and we're gonna do the B&B open discussion about the occult and the magicians and witchcraft. And today, it really was leading into what was going in over a couple of videos this week about CEA. And CEA is like this type of dirty magic that just kind of like came in through here, and it's still focusing on this golden egg. And on this golden egg, we still can't figure it out because we saw the black egg, we saw the ceiling effect, we saw how everything was going and how it was like written out. But back to this dirty magic, it really is what they call an elemental. And it really is not elemental per se, but then all of a sudden you see like a slew of crime come through, and it's usually um like collected, as I like to say. And when it's collected, it's like catalytic converter, it's copper, it is wiring, it is steel, it is stainless steel, it is up to oil, like car oil. It is such a mix of like slew in a pot where they don't even know, like, as we've talked about, like you need a certain burn barrel that you have to, you look at them and say, this is it's right there in the public. It's really right there in the public. It is heinous if you really do a cast out and a cast in into it. So usually when we say it and it comes through like that, and we're trying to see this golden egg, it's so obscured and so locked that you have to say it bleeds red. And when it bleeds red, all of a sudden you have a red pill. And then when you have a red pill, it's not this underground Patreon movement. It really is like health issues, health issues whatsoever. So right here, it really is like dictated shit. And when I see the Hierophant card and I see the devil in reverse, I see how it actually can be pretty linear, and someone who is not trained in law enforcement or military or anything like that, or even up to like a community watch, they can say this is illegal substances, like dictating it, and that it is toxic masculinity, but really it's empress. It really is sorcery. So when I see sorceress, and even if a man is doing it, it will cause chaos, especially if they are not at that rank in coven law. So when I see Knight of Pentacles in reverse, it is like this like pullback and this takeaway so hard that it has to do with greed. So, as I see it come through, and someone who is that high of a criminal, who is doing that type of magic, who is not in that rank, who actually tries to escort it in a way to take away, that you can't even understand how hard it is to be. So when you see it and you actually see to be, you have to say what is actually true. When you see it, it's something not manifested. Now, when you get into that rank of sorcerer or sorceress, and you've never done it before, you have to maintain like such a type of energy that's clean to actually execute it out. So when they execute it out and they're not clean, everyone is sick. Everyone is sick. And then they say, I got it, I saw it, I heard it, I felt it, it's true. And it's like hallucinations. They like live in this daydream, which is really like a psyop, but it's really not a psyop. It really is like a condemning favor. So when you look at it and you say it really wasn't prudent for you to do that, individual, but they're highly contented because they look around, they say, I got it done. I got it done. Justice actually comes in, and it really is just like cutting away of energy when they execute it out. And it's usually a partnership. It really is like a get together, like a party. I'm seeing a 2, but it's really a 3-5 fold, and it disables communication, all forms of communication, when it comes through. And there it is. It's the Empress card in reverse. It really is like this foggy energy. It really is this like right on the horizon, usually in the morning if you see it after they've done it. And when you see the sun card, they're like, really nothing is going on. The actual side effects, if they had done that with a CEA, the ones who actually perform the magic, they're so lucid that they start doing these like, no, 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 it's good, it's everything is fine, and they blink. They're constantly like blinking. There is no steal. There's no like theft down to petty or misdemeanors, but there is loss, high loss. But it's a mystery. It's an absolute mystery. It will obscure, it will occult, and because energy is so harsh with it, it will lock. So when I say with me the way I am, it locks like that. It really is like a C-clamp. And then all of a sudden you have things missing on automobiles. Literally. It really is like this like beginning of crime that they work together. But it is so effective that you have to say you have to do education. Like that's usually the first step, because a lot of families are like, I just don't know how it started. It usually is a young author. It usually is a young author. When you see it and you say, holy cow, you can't even believe, all of a sudden there's poverty everywhere and there's no get-togethers. There's no celebrations. And then that is where they're able to do it. They see through, it's not like rose-colored glasses. They're very dark. Someone is showing me in a little bit of mediumship. It's a female and a male. And it's like an eyes wide shut effect, to the point where they're so clear-minded. If they go into a mental health facility, you can't even do anything with them. They just sit there and talk. It's so linear conversation that it actually causes a lot of anxiety because you can't get them, and they become part of the system. They're in, out, in, out, in, out. There it is. So when you see this magician card, you actually see on the table, he has elements. You need air, you need water, you need fresh everything, and clear-minded, nothing upon, nothing within, to actually do it correctly. And when you see this card, it's not an 8, it's not any other symbol. It usually is infinite, and how it will regulate when you actually cast it out into energy. So when you see it and there's no get-togethers and this like familyness per se comes through, and they're like, there's just nothing I can do with them. And you see the high priestess, it's really nasty witchcraft. And when it boils down, it's happened before, especially in the 90s. When you see it and you see the strength and how hard it is and it comes through, it's like all the options to the point of grandiose thoughts. So like, no, I can do it. I can control it. I can do a lot of things, but it really is just stone cold apathy, like retracting back. Like they're so angst before they do it, and then they relax. That is where it all starts really hard, this Ace of Wands. So let's look at the runes and see what else do we know about CEA. All right. It's like contained within. So they have like residual of like maybe someone who's smoking a cigarette. They have residual. They're retained. They're very happy. They go about, they live their life. And then they're like a bomb. They're literally like a bomb when they release. So when you see it, it has a lot of strength when they pop off on the retainment. And it usually is like a go about order when they pop off, those individuals who did CEA. And when you did this, and it's like a birth of new instances, like in the neighborhood, birth of like crime. It's probably old, really old, and it ashes and torches to a point where people actually have physical symptoms who are not in that incident, who are just living in the community. It's usually GI symptoms. It's usually ulcers. It usually is acid reflux. It usually is like difficulty paying attention and car accidents. So when you look at it, it actually like wealth. It's almost a game. And when you look at it, it will like when you hear canoe and it's torch also. It's like a bring in. It's a bring in. When you see it, it's a wheel of luck, like Jeopardy. Like they'll sit and watch a game show and wait for a color, a number, a word to cause the freeze. And when you see it, it's highly gifted. Like they've like done it before, and it's usually at night. And when you look at it and you say, "Here it is, Perthal pair hidden," it's always within. It's usually right here, right in your torso. When I'm seeing CEA where it is physically, it's usually lumbar. I don't know why it's lumbar. And then when you hear it right here, it is a bit of a rattle. And when you see it, solid. Like they're solid. Like you look at a man and they're solid. Like they're a bodybuilder. They will cause havoc. These are the ones that you look and say, yes, they're going to pop off. They're the ones who you'd have to be straight out with. And when you look at it and you say, they're just straight instinct. Straight instinct. You ask them and they say, no, it was just instinct. It was intuition. I knew it. I saw it. I heard it. And they go, yes, yes, you did a really good job. You did a really good job. And then all of a sudden, like you're like riding along, you're like collecting through. There's something that's this like odd thing about this golden egg with CEA is like a collection through. Let's see what it means. Let's go to the Black Obsidian runes. What does it mean for this? What does it mean? What is this collection through that we need to know? It's almost like community services, like community relief. Has a lot of power afterwards. Like they snuffed it out. They were the ones who were like the sheriff, the constable, anything of that, the leader. But it caused a lot of havoc. So when you see it and you actually go through, you might actually go through like towns that you're not going to feel well. It really has not happened in a long time. But when you see it, they're usually like a warrior. Very like stand stillish. When I say this and I see at night Nadis, it really is like a type of a cutout of something. They saw it, they heard it. They could just be sitting there eating their meal. And it was like done. And then all of a sudden, officers arrive. There we go. Wood runes. What else do we need to know about CEI? It causes huge freeze. Huge freeze. What do we need to know about Golden Egg and CEI? It really is still like just going. It'll be right in front of you. Be right in front of you. It has to do with a lock, a C-clamp lock. And when you see the C-clamp lock, you usually have to wait until almost like an October of unknown year. It really is like a lottery. It's like you walk and you're like, it was right there in front of me. I saw it right there. When you see it, it really is when you see Daga. It usually is going to be during like daylight. I'm seeing a 9 to 12. And then I see this hidden game. When I see this and I say like all of a sudden like you're like gained and gathered through when you find it. And then all of a sudden like you got burning eyes afterwards. Like, yeah, that's related to what I found. Absolutely. Now, when we talk about CEA in a form of magic, you have to know that it's not just plain words. So let's talk about how it's not plain words. I'm seeing like a form of hexing, but it's not. It's more of a spell. It can make someone a little drowsy. Like I said, it has to do with a judgment of like a lock it down. It usually is something like in the area of like no logic for the person casting it out of whatever they're seeing and hearing, that they're going to do it anyways. They are absolutely delusional. Delusional. When you see it cause chaos, this hex, usually most of the time a hex is going to go right upon, and it's usually right here in the eyes. But in reality, what I'm seeing with CEA, it is right through the mouth. Like you get like bits through the mouth. And then you sleep. And then all of a sudden it's a new day and there's new things going on. And then you have instances of divorces, breakups, family issues, friend issues, job issues, and that's a victory. It's almost like a cast out of the community. So when you see it and you go the 10 of Wands in reverse, you can't even believe like the lesson of the lesson of the difficulty. And that's how they usually do. All of a sudden they start slowing down. And then they're sitting well. And then it becomes reckless, but they're balanced. Whoever is that victim. And then they look dishonorable. And then it is a struggle, the 7 of Wands. So we'll stop with that deck. Because there's more. Absolutely more. Here we go. Starseed Oracle. It almost like an oddness comes out that is like you're not for everyone. And then you go like, it has to do with like a melody. And then all of a sudden it's when I'm seeing this card, it's kind of odd. It is like birth as a portal, like the birth of that instance ushers in. And when they usher in, all of a sudden it is like protection, loyalty, safety, and trust. Like they have a false sense of identity and then a false sense of friends and who is supposed to be in their life. And then it goes to absolute isolation, to a physical connection, to community. And then when you do this, you actually have like really bad boundaries. And they also start popping off. They're not in reality. So like I said, it really knocks it out. Here we go. Animal Oracle. What else do we need to know? When you see whale, it's like a go about like order. All of a sudden, they're like, no, I'm just here. I'm just relaxing and resting. Everything is fine. And then when you see starfish, they're really drowning. Like when you look into the home, there's issues of up to hoarding. When you see a lizard, you actually try to call in agencies to get them relief. And then when all of a sudden you hear, like when you see octopus, it's almost like a racketeering game that you see it. If you've ever seen anyone who has been playing racketeering games or has suffered from racketeering, there's just no going to it. No going to it. When you see nightingale, like you hear messengers of issues going on to the point of where it's like you see this vulture. It's like a type of stalking. You have to watch the victim. And then you have to wait for like a spring in the step. And then it's when you see this unicorn, it's like a rarity. They actually don't cook their food well. And then all of a sudden it is defensiveness around. Highly defensive. All right. Here we go. What else do we need to know? Now, if someone is truly a good, like, what I would say, like a good witch, or someone who's a good magician, who is able to break this, like, curse, spell, hex, everything in one, it ends up being, sometimes it's shown me really quickly, up to 75 curses, spells, and hexes. That's heinous. And then you have to find the key. It literally is like you have to find the key, the king of keys, and then you have to actually do clearing around. Like, you have to actually chisel away as a community and all agencies to get to that person. And when you see it, it goes through spring and autumn, which really is just like a standby and just watch and listen and document, even for like people who are well to the point of on track. So most of the time, what I'm seeing, it's really not letting me see exactly. It's like an old term called neufron, and neufron would literally be like a form of physics. And physics would actually, like, most of the time they don't even know it well. It literally is. You need a GI consult after, because it's just a continuous on if they didn't do their magic correctly. I hate to say it like that. And when you look at it, you just have your winged messengers, to the point where you actually have to have like people like in higher apartments just sit there and watch and say, just watch. It's just gonna backfire. When you see it and you see the Ark of the Covenant, one saying like a little bit and like a little bit of clarity, and so they feel it like it's biblical, and it really isn't. It is like a Hail Mary to Jesus, and they say it's a fated meeting. To the point where he has to say, you can't even believe it. But how did it work so well in like 1998? When you actually look at it and you take a stop and say physics, you can't even believe it. It just comes right through the window. It works. It literally works. It's born. All of a sudden there's an issue. And when it settles, literally it's you gotta have like forces come through and try to get these people out of it. It's heinous. Absolutely heinous. Here we go. Literary Witches Oracle. It's almost like an intuitive pinch, intuitive pour. It's like they see it and they just do it. Whatever they're doing in a burn barrel, to a cast in, to a cast out, to a be it be. They also, if they didn't do it right, they're going to have physical ailments. It's almost like a copycat mimic out. It's an untamed venture. So usually with like when you're doing anything with physics, actual discipline like learning, it is cause and effect learning. And then when you use cause and effect learning, you can't even believe how well it worked. So then you actually have to look at like lines of transference, like if you can hear it on the radio or not. And when you look at it, like it belongs. It's like a type of belonging. It's odd. Like I said, it is like a type of toxic masculinity and grotesque humor at times. Whoever's around, and they're brave, they're gonna go do it. And when you look at it, there's a lot of laws. Identities are usually, and then all of a sudden they like show up at the supermarket and like, I'm the one that gets you out. So when you see it, there's something about family. It's almost like they can hear. They feel like it's a type of mediumship, whoever did that type of magic. And when you see it, you got to pace. It usually is about 3 to 9 years. They need a lot of physical healing, whoever the victim is. Because a lot of times it's like, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to have fun. That's whoever it is. It's heinous. Absolutely heinous. Here we go. Golden Tarot. What else do we need to know? That's a little bit of a, like, get rid of energy. What else do we need to know about CA, the golden egg, the black egg? I'm seeing butterfly effect. Butterfly effect is a type of effect that usually has to do with psychology, and it really is hard to explain. But basically, let me boil it down just a notch. Butterfly effect, it's like a lock. Whatever the energy is, it does not want to talk about butterfly effect. Let's see if we can draw it out a little bit. All right, butterfly effect is this, like, continuance on in the mind of that it is well. And when it is well, it, like, dwells within you. And when it dwells within you, it goes about and you meet that individual who might be your assailant, and everything is well. They almost get to the point they're a doll. And that's an old term in the 1950s where they are groomed through and through, all in all. And when that happens, you can't even get them out at all because their life is perfected. So when you actually look at it as a medical perspective, butterfly effect would literally be like anxiety, it would be depression, it would be like cyclic episodes when taken away from that environment, and then they fire it right up. But they're attuned. They're highly attuned. They end up having issues with, like, PTOT speech. They have to be on services. And then they literally say there's no luck. There's no luck within them. Then it becomes no logic. You have to sit with them a lot. Usually they need a conservator after. It usually is a fit the bill, whoever the criminal is, the assailant. And then when you see the Knight of Pentacles, you look about and you say, well, it looks like socioeconomic status. And then you have to say that's heinous. But in reality, it isn't, because it is obscured. It's all locked within everyone else, that incident. So when you see this Knight of Pentacles, it really is like a lot of offering through legal and judicial, because there's no, like, balance. They're like rock bottom alchemy. They have no, like, power or anything that they could give as energy to live on their own. So it usually is an incomplete cycle for them. So with that being said, that really is all we have to say about CEA. If you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, a share. It's greatly appreciated, and we'll talk to you soon.